going to start in our 4-point kneeling position, so making sure your wrist is under your shoulder, knee is under your hip, tilting that pelvis so your tailbone is pointing towards the back wall, eye line is between your hands. We're going to take an inhale here, and then exhale, take your head between your hands and arch your back up into the ceiling, holding it here for an inhale, and then exhale, taking it in the other direction, so bringing your head up and pushing your belly button towards the floor, taking an inhale here, and then exhale, bringing your head back between your hands and arching your back into the ceiling, holding it for an inhale, keep thinking belly button to spine, pelvic floor engaged, exhale, take it in the other direction, hold it for an inhale, and exhale, taking it back through, final time. So this time we're going up, but then we're going to come back to the middle, taking an inhale, and exhale, back into the middle. From here we're going to go on to our threading the needle, so just double check your wrist position. I knew this was going to happen. So from here we're coming on to, is that letting go in? Yes it is. Okay, starting again. So from here we're coming on to our threading the needle. Now if you need something under your wrist, remember, roll up your mat, or you can always make a fist. So we're taking an inhale in the middle, and then exhale, threading your right arm through the gap between your left arm and leg. Look to where your fingers are going. Inhale, and then exhale, bringing that arm back up. Make sure you put that wrist back under your shoulder, taking an inhale in the middle, and then exhale, taking your other arm through the gap, making sure your hip stays over your knee, holding it here for an inhale, and then exhale, bringing it back up, holding in the middle for an inhale, and then exhale, moving to the other side, so getting really nice mobilization through that mid spine. We're going to do one more to each side like this, and then we're going to add on taking that leg out, holding at the side. Remember, keep your hip over your knee, and back. Okay, from here you're going to take your right leg out, stick your right foot to the floor, take an inhale, core engaged, and then exhale, take your left arm through the gap. This time your hip can move, holding it here for an inhale, and then exhale, we're going to bring that arm up in line with your shoulder, rotate through your mid spine, look to your fingers, inhale, and then exhale, bring that arm back down, hip comes back up, leg comes back in, taking the other leg out, so sticking your foot to the floor, core engaged, exhale, take your arm through the gap, hold it here for an inhale, and exhale, bring it in line with your shoulder, and then rotate through your chest, look to your fingers, inhale, and then exhale, bring that arm back down, hip comes back up, leg comes back in. Just check in on your position, make sure you haven't moved your wrists too far forward, and then this time you're going to take your other leg out, inhale in the middle, eye line stays between your hand, but then your eyes are following that hand that's moving. And the other side, so taking an inhale in the middle, exhale through the gap, hold it here for an inhale, and exhale, rotating through that mid spine, look to your fingers, inhale, and exhale, bringing that arm down, hip comes back up, leg comes back in. One more time to each side, so taking out that left leg, core engaged, exhale through the gap, holding it for an inhale, look to your fingers, inhale, exhale, bring the arm back down, and the other side. Arm comes up in line with your shoulder and then rotate through that mid-spine. And back to the middle. From here, just coming back into your child's pose and taking a little rest. Okay. Then from here, we're coming to sitting. You can either sit cross-legged or you can sit in diamond, whichever is more comfortable for you. And we're going to do our mid-back stretch. So you're going to bring your elbows together and your palms together. You're going to push your elbows together as you take your arms up and over your head. Open up through those arms and bring your arms back together. Keep thinking belly button to spine. Keep that core engaged. I'm going to do 3 more like this, really pushing your elbows together. Try and keep them together for as long as you can. And final one. Okay, now you're going to interlace your fingers, bring your arms above your head. Keep that core engaged, sitting up nice and tall. And we're just going to start with a nice little semicircle, or whole circle actually, not a semicircle. So you're just circling your arms above your head, trying to keep everything else nice and still and taking it in the other direction. And holding your arms there, and you're going to try and separate those fingers. So you're just trying to pull your fingers apart, taking that stretch through your back, holding it there for me. And then bringing your arms back down, and you're going to come onto your back, kind of. So we're coming onto our elbows, making sure your elbow is under your shoulder, feet are facing forward, core engaged, and you're trying to stay on that tailbone. So try not to lean your pelvis backwards. Keep your pelvis in its neutral, core engaged, rib to hip connection. The fingers are facing your feet. And then from here, we're going to bring both legs up to tabletop. Knees are over your hips. Then we're going to take one leg out long, bring it back in, tap the floor, moving from your hip, bring it back up. Other leg out long, bring it back in, tap the floor, moving from your hip, bring it back up. Check you're not slouching down into your shoulders, so think about keeping nice and tall, growing through the top of your head. Keep thinking belly button to spine, keep that core engaged. I'm going to do 3 more on each side. Keep thinking belly button to spine, pelvic floor on and strong. Final 2 on each side. And final 1 on each side. And then bring one leg down and the other leg down and bring yourself back up to sitting. Okay. From here, we're coming back onto our 4-point kneeling, so into our box position. And we're going to work on those glutes a little bit. So making sure your hands are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips, feet are just flat on the floor. From here, core engaged, eye line looks between your hands. You're going to lift your right leg up into your donkey kick position. Now make sure you have a hip hitch, so don't lift your hip. Make sure your hips stay next to each other, core engaged. And then from here, we're going to do 10 little pulses towards the ceiling. Try not to dip through your pelvis, so try and keep your pelvis really still and just think about the movement coming from your leg. We're halfway there. 2, 1. Hold that leg there, core engaged, keep your back in neutral, and then you're going to just take that leg over to the left hand side. So you're just moving from your knee. Try not to move your whole pelvis. Think about your pelvis staying still, just move your knee. So you shouldn't be kind of wriggling like a little snake or anything. Everything else is staying nice and still, and just your knee is moving. We're halfway there. Keep going, you're doing really well. 2 and 1. Then bring that leg back down for a second. We're going to do the other leg. So core engaged, pelvic floor on, other leg comes up. Again, check in with that hip, make sure you haven't hip hitched. Hands are still underneath your shoulders, and then we're going to lift. Keep thinking belly button to spine. Think about that lift coming from your foot. Keep your pelvis in neutral. Final 3, 2, 1. Holding it there, take your knee across the other leg. Thinking belly button to spine, eye line stays between your hands, core engaged. And final 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there and slowly bring that leg back in. If you need a little wrist break, just take a little wrist break and give those wrists a little wiggle. And then we're going on to part 2. So wrists are coming back down under your shoulders, knees are under your hips, core engaged, scoop up that pelvic floor. Remember, we're on floor 3 of that lift. From here, this time you're going to lift your right leg, then you're going to extend it a bit higher. You're going to take it across to the left hand side, tap the floor with an extended leg. Bring your knee back in, so bend at the knee, leg comes back, tap the floor straight out behind you, and then come back to your donkey kick. So you're going to extend that leg up, open, tap the floor, close at the knee, so bend your knee back to the middle, tap the floor behind you, back up. So we're going to extend that foot, so take your foot closer to the ceiling, across the left leg, tap the floor. Bend at the knee, bring your leg back to donkey kick position, and then tap the floor behind you, bring it back up. So extend, take your foot towards the ceiling, back to the left hand side, tap the floor. Knee bends, back to the middle, tap the floor again. Core engaged, make sure that you're keeping that weight even between your hands and your other knee. We're going to do one more. So this is really good for your glutes and your hips. And then bring that leg back down. Okay, other side, core engaged. So other side, core engaged, going to bring that left leg up, then you're going to extend it. So take your foot higher towards the ceiling, bring it over to the right side, tap the floor. Leg comes back to being bent, back to the middle, tap the floor again. The belly button to spine, keep that core engaged, pelvic floor on. Try and take that leg a little bit higher as you bring it across to the left hand side, so you just activate through that glute a little bit more, keeping your pelvis square though. Keep thinking belly button to spine. Bring it across to the right hand side as far as you can without feeling like you're swinging to the right hand side. So it's just your knee that's doing the moving. 2 more. And final 1. And then bring that leg back in, taking your knees out wide, bringing your feet together, slowly lowering yourself back into your wide knee child's pose. Think about pulling your shoulder blades down your back, keep your head up, remember, nice long cervical spine. holding here. Then from here, you're going to walk your hands around to the left and stretch out through the right hand side of your back, holding it there for me. Then bringing your arms back to the middle and taking them around to the right hand side and stretching out through the left hand side of your back for me. And bring your arms back to the middle and coming back up. Okay. From here, we are going onto our backs. So you're coming onto your back, and first thing you need to think about is that setup. So making sure your feet are facing forward, knees are in line with your hips and your toes. Core engaged, so think about that little gap under your lower back, make sure it stays there. Pull your ribs down towards your hips, arms are just resting on the floor. From here, you're going to bring one leg and then two legs up to tabletop. Knees are over your hips, shins are parallel with the ceiling. Core stays engaged. From here, you're going to bring one leg up so that your toes pointing at the ceiling. Then you're going to flex your foot towards your face, point it back to the ceiling, back to tabletop. So we're going pointed up, flex to your face, point back, back to tabletop. So point to the ceiling, flex, point, back. Core stays engaged, keep everything else nice and still. Keep thinking belly button to spine, pelvic floor engaged, and we're just working into those core muscles and giving ourselves a nice little hamstring and calf stretch at the same time. Thinking belly button to spine, keep that core engaged. Going to do one more on each side. Final one on each side. And then we're going to bring one leg down and two legs down. And then we're going into our next move, which is our shoulder bridge. So this is really good for stretching out through those quads and building strength in our hamstrings and glutes. So taking an inhale in the middle. Going to exhale. Roll yourself up into your bridge. Now when you get to the top of your bridge, remember you're making yourself into a ski slope, keeping the weight in your shoulders, squeezing those glutes, keep your hips lifted. You're going to take an inhale here. And then you're going to exhale. Slowly roll yourself back to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. So keeping that pelvis lifted for as long as you can. Rolling back into your neutral, taking an inhale here and exhale. Slowly back up to the top, squeezing those glutes to the top. Hold yourself here for an inhale and then exhale. Slowly rolling back down one vertebrae at a time. Rolling into your neutral, taking an inhale and exhale. Back up. So this time from the top, we're going to do 5 little pulses higher. So you're going to get into your bridge, make sure you're in bridge and you're not lower. And then from here, you're going to squeeze your glutes and push your hips higher for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your bridge. Inhale. And then exhale. Slowly roll yourself back down, one vertebrae at a time. holding at the bottom for an inhale, and then exhale, bringing yourself back up to the top of your bridge, squeezing those glutes, keeping your hips lifted, and then again we're going for 5, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it here for an inhale, and exhale, slowly rolling yourself back down. Okay, so this time we're going to work into the side of our glutes. So again, rolling up into your bridge, making sure you've got to the top of your bridge, you're not halfway. Holding it here, going to take your knees out to the side for 5, 4, 3, make sure you're not dropping your pelvis as you take your knees out, 2, and final 1. Holding your bridge, really squeeze those glutes, make those muscles work for you. Taking an inhale and then exhale, slowly rolling yourself back down, 1 vertebrae at a time. Holding at the bottom for an inhale, and exhale, rolling yourself back up into your bridge, squeezing those glutes at the top, holding it here and then out for 5, 4, 3, 2, and final 1. Holding it here for an inhale and exhale. Slowly bringing yourself back down, 1 vertebrae at a time. Okay, going to do a single leg bridge now. Now if this isn't quite right for you today, you can pick. You can either do 5 pulses higher, or you can take your knees out for another 5, so you're working into those glutes. So taking an inhale here, going to bring one leg off the floor. Exhale, roll yourself up into your bridge. Really important, make sure you've got those hips lifted and you haven't left that hip behind. Hold it for an inhale, and then exhale, slowly rolling back down to the mat. Leg comes back to the floor. So you can do that, or you can do pulses if you want to, if that's feeling a little bit tricky today. So taking an inhale here and exhale, rolling yourself back up, making sure those hips stay level, holding it for an inhale, and then exhale, slowly rolling back down to the floor, back into your neutral. Leg comes back down, 1 more time on each side, holding it for an inhale, exhale, rolling up, holding it here for an inhale, and exhale, slowly coming back down. Leg comes back to the floor, other leg comes up, taking an inhale, exhale, holding it here for an inhale, and exhale, slowly rolling yourself back down to the mat, 1 vertebrae at a time. Back into your neutral, bring that leg to the floor. From here, giving yourself a full body stretch. And then bring both feet so they're flat on the floor. You're going to bring your right leg up, place it over your left leg. Make sure your ankle bone isn't on your thigh, that's really uncomfortable. And then you can either push your right knee from here, or if you need more of a stretch, bring your left leg off the floor and push your right knee out with your right elbow. Check you haven't twisted through your pelvis, so keep your pelvis square on, holding it there for me. See if you can hold it a little bit longer. And bring both legs back to the floor. This time bringing your left leg up again, making sure your left ankle isn't on your thigh, pushing your left knee out with your left hand, or bringing your right leg off the floor and pushing your left knee out with your left elbow, holding it there for me. And see if you can push it a little bit further. And bringing your legs back down. Then you're going to take your right leg out long. Bring your left leg up so it's sitting on top of your right leg, and then guide it over to the right hand side, holding it there for me. And bring that leg back to the middle, taking that leg out long, bringing your right leg up, sitting it on top of your left leg and guiding it over to the left hand side, holding it there. And bring that leg back to the middle, taking both legs out long, bringing your arms into the air, taking an inhale here. And then you're going to exhale, tuck your chin and slowly roll yourself back up to sitting. Now if you know that's not going to happen, then just find your way back to sitting, however is working for you. Then from here we're going to do rolling like a ball. So you need to come to the end of your mat, making sure you've got lots of space behind you with nothing in the way. You're going to bring your feet in as close to you as you can get them, and then hold on to your thighs, tucking your chin in, so don't keep your head up. Think about tucking that chin. Then you're going to take an inhale, and you're going to exhale, roll yourself back. Now the weight is coming onto your shoulders, not onto your neck. Then from here you're going to roll yourself back up, hold on with those core muscles and stop those feet from touching the floor. Inhale here, exhale, roll back, inhale, come up, exhale, roll back, inhale, come up, exhale, roll back. So you're keeping yourself in this ball shape, which means you can just easily roll back and get a nice massage through that spine at the same time. If you want to, when you come up, you can add in 3 little beats of those heels. And we're going to do 3 more. Keep thinking belly button to spine, keep your chin tucked, final one. And then bring your feet to the floor. Well done. Coming into your sitting position, making sure you're sitting up nice and tall on those sit bones. You're going to put your hands behind you and imagine you've got a beach ball on your lap. We're going to take an inhale here and then exhale. Bring your arms up and over, reach yourself towards your toes. Don't worry if you can't get to your toes. Keep thinking shoulder blades back and down, core on, hold it here for me. Then from here you're going to see if you can stretch your fingers forward a bit further and then bring those arms up in the air, really reach towards the sky. Bring your arms back behind you, taking an inhale here and then exhale. up and over, creating that C curve shape, holding it here. Then from here, stretching your fingers forward, bring them up into the air and round a nice big circle. Holding it here for an inhale, final time. Exhale, bring those arms up and over and stretching forward. Hold it here. Then you're going to stretch those fingers forward. Bring them up into the air, really stretch. Make your arms longer as you go. And bring them back to the floor. Then come into sitting, so your legs are on the right hand side of you. Then what you're going to do is you're going to move your left leg back so that it's in front of you. So your left leg comes to a right angle in front of you. You're going to pick up your right leg and you're going to take it backwards so it's creating the same shape behind, so it's another 90-degree angle. Then you're going to take your right hip, so the hip that's on top, and you're going to try and push it back towards the floor, so you're opening out through that hip joint, holding it there. Now go this way. Holding there a little bit longer. And you're going to bring both legs back together, swivel them round so your right leg is now at the front making that first 90-degree angle. Second leg comes behind and makes that second 90-degree angle, and then you're pushing down on your hip, so pushing that hip down. Then bring that leg back to the middle, bring both legs together and finding your way to your knees, and then from here going to take a big step forward with your right foot. Come up to standing, or to come up to high knees, sorry. Tuck your pelvis under and push forward into that bent leg. Remember, your ankle and knee should be in roughly a straight line. Your knee doesn't go over your toe, holding it there for me. And bring both legs back to the middle, bring the other foot forward, tucking that pelvis under, pushing your pelvis forward, making sure your knee stays behind your toe and in line with your ankle, holding it there for me. Then bring both legs back down. And we're going to finish with a little challenge. So we're going to do a plank challenge. I'm going to try and hold it for a minute, but I want you to finish when you feel like you're starting to lose your form. So I'm going to hold mine for a minute and you can join me, and then when you feel like I'm starting to lose form, starting to feel a little bit like it's pulling where it shouldn't or anything like that, then just come out of it, okay? Take a note of how long you've done, and we're going to add in some of these over the next couple of weeks and see if we can build up that strength. So elbows are coming under your shoulders. You have a choice. You can either come into your half plank, so you're on your kind of knees. Make sure you haven't taken your bum back and put all of the weight into your knees. Make sure you can feel it in those core muscles, or you can bring yourself into your full plank. I don't mind. Pick where you feel you're going to be comfortable. So here we go, everybody, ready? So we're going to take an inhale. Make sure you're breathing while you're in your plank. Don't try and hold your breath for a minute for me. So taking an inhale, then exhale, find your way into your plank, and we're going to hold it for a minute. But remember, just come down when you feel you need to. Keep thinking belly button to spine. Make sure you haven't taken your pelvis into the air. Holding it here for me. Eye line stays down between your hands. halfway there, you're doing really well. Final 10 seconds. Then you're going to bring one knee down and the other knee down and come to the mat. And then if you want to, as long as you've got no niggles in that lower back, you're going to place your hands under your shoulders and just arch your back. So coming into cobra, holding it here for me. And then coming back to the mat, tucking those toes and making your way back to sitting. Well done. I hope you enjoyed today's session. It was a bit of a mix up of lots of different things that I love.